First thing, I think our guys are excited to be home, literally and figuratively, from our trip. I am really proud of the way that they responded to. Nobody was in any danger or anything like that with what we dealt with the other day, but just the complete adversity and disarray of a travel. You know, where we end up in a city before a game, get into our hotel at 2 o'clock, and we're on a bus a little over 3 hours later, and you'd like to think, okay, that's how it is in the summertime when they're traveling and playing AAU, but this is major college basketball. And for them to be able to adjust to that, even though we didn't get the win, I'm proud of their effort. And I really hope that we have a tremendous crowd here tomorrow night, build on what we had last Friday night for our home opener. It's another great weekend. It's a football weekend. A lot of people will be in town. And I hope we have a great student turnout. Hope we have a great fan turnout. And I hope there's a lot of energy in the building. Because Sam Houston State is one of those teams. They are sneaky good because they've got some veterans. They're well coached with Jason Hooten. He does an excellent job. They were in a really tough game with Clemson last night until maybe the last 10 minutes of the game. They're tough. They're physical. What they do, they make great adjustments. They run their ball screen actions, and Clemson was switching out the weak side of some of their actions. So all of a sudden, boom, they come out with something different. They're very adept at what they're trying to do. They can score inside and out, and they got some fearless guys. And these are the kind of teams. Just because they're not household name teams doesn't mean that they can't win. And we're in no position as a team, as a program, or really in any situation to take anything lightly. And we can't have a crowd that takes it lightly either. We've got to have a great crowd, a lot of energy as we play this game and then get ready to go away for a week. But we're excited to be back. We're excited to get to practice. I know I am. And excited to learn from the game the other night and apply what we've learned from that game and into tomorrow night.
What was your very first impression of Derek O'Day? You first saw him on the court for that first workout here at Georgia.
Tremendous upside because of his body. And then being in workouts with him a little bit, seeing the level of athleticism. And then day after day, being able to watch how there was some real upside skill-wise. And there's still a long way to go. Believe me. I mean, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. He played 32 minutes the other night. We're running the last play to tie the game with him, to him, and there is a ton of room for improvement. And so to me, hopefully, we're just scratching the surface with his senior year, right?
But he scored double figures 2 straight games, which early
like
in his career that was not.
Yeah, but I can't do anything about that, right? I wasn't here for that, and all I look at is the upside of where he's at. And if we start writing articles about how well he played the other night, then all of a sudden he may not keep playing that well because this is not a team like most teams that can deal well with a lot of pats on the back and you're doing such a good job. We got to get better, and Derek's got to get better. He really epitomizes our team. He's making tremendous improvement. He's trying to change his leadership, and we have high expectations for him. I mean, there is not a doubt in my mind. After the second week, I told him here that there's no question he should be making money from this game when it's all said and done. Now, to get there, he's got a long way to go. He's got a long way to go to build in the skills. But we're not going to rest on it, and he's not resting on it. So there's nothing that we take for granted with his game. There's nothing that can't improve, but there's also nothing that we can't get better for him, and that's what we've got to work on.
We're in the signing period right now. Do you anticipate either of your guys inking with?
Yeah, we'll get to that. That'll be for another time. But when we get that all straightened out, then we'll go over who we signed. Absolutely.
It's not just a big that he's flourishing so far, or quote unquote flourishing. There's 5 players so far with double figures. Does that a balanced offensive attack? How does that help y'all?
We're not that balanced yet. No, we're really not. I know we've had some double figure scores, and we scored 110, and really we left a lot of points on the board that day, to be honest with you, when it came to turnovers. And we've got to get better. I'll give you an example. We had 5 turnovers the other night. We had 3 charges. We had a shot clock violation, and we stepped out of bounds late. Okay, those 5 turnovers. A lot of times you talk about turnovers, and you look at it and say, okay, well that cost us some chances to score. No, those were 5. We saw the ball go through the basket place. 11 points on those 5 turnovers where the ball actually went through the basket. Not we hoped it would go through the basket. When I say an answer to your question, those go in, all of a sudden it's better. All of a sudden maybe there's 6. All of a sudden now there's consistently 5. We've got a long way to go with balance. We've got a long way to go with understanding how we want to play. We've got a long way to go with understanding how the duration and the durability you've got to have to play this way, both ends of the court. And this way just means fast. But it doesn't mean reckless, and it doesn't mean sporadic. It means consistently fast, where the ball is moving, the bodies are moving, and we're playing both ends at a high level. So we're nowhere near offensively where we want to be. It's not even close. I mean, I watch the film, and a lot of times, me personally, I don't. It's not what the style that maybe I've coached in the past of the movement, and we're still really struggling with where we need to be, and we're struggling with how quick the ball needs to move and where the movement's at. And we're not a real rule-oriented offense. We're a concept-oriented offense. And I think sometimes these guys, they'd rather have rules, right? But with concepts, you got to be a free-flowing thinker. You got to really be able to move and play without the ball. And we do a lot of thinking right now, and we've got to be able to work through that. And I think once we do, our offense will even get better, and the balance will even be better.
That's something that's going to improve. The more games you guys play, the more comfortable they get with those concepts.
Yeah, I think it's that. We've got to start to have some separation. Everybody and their brother inside of my own family's asking me why we're playing so many people, right? The coaches, we haven't had a lot of separation yet. We haven't had a lot of separation of guys establishing that they're going to get those minutes, or they're going to be that consistent. And really the measuring stick for us, you want the shot making to be part of the measuring stick, but the biggest measuring stick is defending on the ball and off, and not turning the ball over. And until we get that corrected, we're not going to have that balance. We're not going to have that style of play that we need. We're not going to have that consistency, and we're not going to look very good. But we'll get there. We'll get there. I mean, I get it. I'm keeping it in perspective, and I want our fans to keep it in perspective too. We're trying to play a very quick pace, but we don't want to be giving the ball back to the other team, because when you play a team like Temple that's got those kind of veterans, they turn those live ball turnovers into baskets. But again, we're working on building our efficiency on both ends every day. And I like the fact that we've got this game, and then we turn around and we've got 3 next week, and we turn around with the next week. I like that. I'd rather have the practice time, personally, but we don't. So we've got to make sure we're making our adjustments during the game best we can.
You're talking about these turnovers and quantifying. Where would you like to be in terms of a team as far as that number goes? Like, how low would you like ideally be?
Well, it's different. It's because one of the stats that we keep that I measure it on is not optimally. If we could be +3 in turnovers forced versus turnovers committed on a nightly basis, that's a pretty good number. But I gauge it a little bit differently, because deflections, which we haven't talked a lot about here, are such a big thing to me and to us. And I want our team to be in a 3.5 deflection to 1 turnover ratio, all right? And that means you may have some turnovers, but you're also creating enough deflections in a sense. So that to me is an optimal number. We're not there right now. We've got some guys that are way past that. We've got some guys that are way under that, in the sense of being in a good place when we measure the 4 games, of being the 2 exhibitions and the 2 regular seasons. But as we move forward, that's where we want to be, which means we've got to be better with the ball, and we've got to be more active at taking the ball away from the other team. So I don't have an optimal number, because every team is different. And again, the more live ball turnovers you commit, the harder it is on your defense. And when you can look at the game every night, and this is another thing that I do, okay, what would the field goal percentage be? What would the point differential be if we'd got 3 more stops inside of that game? Well, a lot of times when you're looking at the turnovers, those 3 stops that you would have gotten, well, you can't do anything about it, because those were 3 undefended plays because of the turnovers committed. So I'm giving you math, but like that's how I look at the game, a lot of times when it's over. So I don't look at it like we got to have X, we've got to have Z. No, what is the ratio compared to what we want to take away? What's that like right now?
What are the stats you like sharing with your players?
I haven't shared a lot with them, but we'll get to all that. So, in answer to your question, what I like to share with them is, because I think numbers can bore them, it can overwhelm them. There's got to be a tangible evidence behind the number. Okay, I'm studying numbers, doesn't mean we're giving them to them constantly. But I like to take that, what would we have done if we'd have got 3 more stops? And what would our scoring or offensive efficiency rate be if we didn't have X amount of turnovers. And that's how I usually got my teams at Indiana's attention. We had too many turnovers at times there, but we had some of the highest scoring teams in the country back there. And with that volume, you're gonna have some volume of turnovers, but to get them to understand how efficient they could be with the ball and how much they were giving away by giving the ball away, sometimes, but we're not there yet. We have a team full of guys that are trying to figure it out, literally. It doesn't matter if they're a senior like Derek or a freshman, any of the freshmen, they're trying to figure it out. And they're not making as many mistakes by trying to do too much. Some are, but they're making mistakes based on taking it one dribble too far or needing a dribble at all. You know, those are the kind of things that we've got to learn how to work through.
You mentioned that last play was kind of for Derek the other day.
Absolutely.
Was that a confidence thing or a matchup thing? And ideally, would you like to have been a little closer there?
Yeah, he needed to catch it deeper. That was a set. We did not execute very well at the end of the game and still had a chance to win the game or tie the game at the end. And going for two in that situation and going to the post not only gives you a chance at the two, it gives you a chance at the free throws. And he's making his free throws. So, that was the thought process there. But in all honesty, he just needed to get deeper, and he didn't. And but it is what it is. So absolutely confidence. I didn't hesitate whatsoever. And we could have gone to different guys. We'd have ran a driving action in that situation. It would have been to Nick. But frankly, I didn't want just to kick out for a three in that situation. Okay? And in a perfect world, you'd want to have the optimal way to be able to drive it. And if they help, you kick it and you trust the three to go down. And not just to win the game, but because you're a good three-point shooting team. I'm not there yet. So the bottom line was we needed to go inside and have a chance to offensive rebound it and a chance to get fouled, and we didn't get either.
Wanted to ask you about Rayshon's three there. I mean, that was in a big moment. You know, left wide, left open, and he hits that. I mean, is that an area where he's growing? Because he's not necessarily a three-point shooter by trade, I guess.
Well, they're all going to be. They're all going to be that at some point. You're going to see Derek shooting threes and making threes at some point this year. What was even as impressive as Ray's three was Nick's pass, because Nick was open too. And for Nick to make that pass, that's the kind of leadership that you've got to have. Give the next pass. That's creating 2-on-1s all over the court. And Ray was ready to shoot the ball. But see, that play, we didn't even need a dribble. He just passed it, right? And that's the kind of offense that we've got to have. And if it comes from a 7-footer to a 6'8" guy, so be it. Nick had the ball in his hands a lot that night. Ray needs the ball in his hands a lot for us, but they need to be better with it. So Ray being an outside, inside, inside, outside type of player, a guy that can deliver inside, a guy that can deliver for his teammates, and a guy that can deliver from the three-point line is really going to be important for our growth, for his growth, and I'm not shocked at all that he knocked that down. All right, thank you. See you later.